Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the really remarkable history of an organization you might never have heard of, International Laundry Service Associates, or ILSA.
Right.
Now, it might sound like it's just about cleaning clothes, but as we'll uncover, their century-plus story reveals a surprising amount of innovation, resilience, and frankly, quiet global impact.
Yeah, our mission here is really to extract the key insights from ILSA's pretty extensive history. We'll track its journey from, honestly, very humble beginnings right up to its current status as this kind of quiet tech titan and logistics powerhouse.
It's quite something.
It really is. It's a compelling illustration of how a seemingly simple service, laundry, can become the fundamental underpinning of massive global operations.
And their story includes, everything from critical wartime operations to pioneering artificial intelligence and major humanitarian efforts. It truly makes you wonder how three women, starting with just a wash tub, could build such an enduring empire. Let's unpack this fascinating journey.
Let's do it.
All right, so our story kicks off on a damp February morning, 1908, London. Imagine the scene. Soot-laden alleyways, the struggle of everyday life for working-class families. And here we meet the three visionary founders. Margaret O'Leary, an Irish immigrant laundress. Eunji Han, a Korean seamstress who'd arrived via Antwerp, and Florence Flo Whitaker, a coal soot cleaner originally from Birmingham.
And they were all, scrubbing linens by hand, earning pennies, really, and sharing the same frustrations. Unreliable delivery, spiking coal prices, landlords constantly hiking the rent, just constant pressure.
Right.
That's when Margaret, she was the eldest at 39, had this profoundly simple but powerful idea. Pooling their resources.
Just combine forces.
Exactly. Their handshake, apparently inked on a grocer's bill, created the Sud Street Cooperative Laundry. His charter was really straightforward. Shared coal, a shared cart, shared clients, and evenly split earnings. Simple.
Yeah.
And within weeks, they were pressing twice as many shirts, leveraging Flo's foot-powered mangle and Eunju's incredibly deft repair stitches. She was apparently amazing with a needle.
It was particularly, forward-thinking is that they started keeping meticulous process logs almost immediately.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Which was really an embryonic form of the data-centric discipline that would become a hallmark of ILSA later on. They were optimizing from day one, basically.
Absolutely. Then comes the First World War. And as you can imagine, this presented both immense peril and unexpected opportunity. The government requisitioning cotton thread was throttling supply, right? But the War Office desperately needed hygienic bandages and uniforms for its rapidly expanding military.
Huge demand, suddenly.
Huge. So Margaret, with incredible foresight, negotiated a landmark contract. Sud Street would launder and sterilize every single linen shipment destined for the hospital trains leaving Waterloo Station.
Wow.
And in return, they'd get vital coal allotments and duty-free soap, critical supplies.
So the scale-up required must have been phenomenal.
Oh, unbelievable. They recruited dozens of women, many of them war widows needing work, and they retrofitted this derelict brewery on Borough Road with industrial gas-fired boilers. Big stuff.
And wasn't there something about a German machine?
Yes. They even repurposed an experimental German continuous batch washer, which had been seized by customs in Liverpool. Think of it like a precursor to modern tunnel washers. It allowed for a continuous flow of laundry, massively increasing throughput, and apparently, Eunju's technical skill was key to getting it working properly.
Just amazing ingenuity.
And the daily handling of, blood-soaked linens from soldiers spurred these really radical hygiene protocols. They introduced color-coded bins, chlorinated rinse cycles, copper piping kept near scalding.
Right, stuff we take for granted now, maybe.
Exactly. These standards, they codified them as the Borough Code. And you could argue this represents one of history's first documented industrial laundry standard operating procedures, SOPs.
That raises a really interesting question, doesn't it? How often do these world-changing standards just emerge out of sheer necessity?
Precisely. In ILSA's case, the dire needs of wartime sanitation didn't just solve an immediate problem. They established this foundational set of hygiene protocols. That became the global gold standard for industrial laundries for, decades to come. It's a powerful example of crisis driving enduring innovation.
So the war scaled them up immensely, but then peace brought its own, sudden and severe challenges. You've got idle boilers, looming debts. How did Margaret, ever resourceful, pivot from that huge wartime infrastructure?
Well, Margaret's solution was, frankly, brilliant. She convened a summit of laundries from all across Britain, Manchester's River Irons, Glasgow's Linen and Thistle, others too. They met at the Old Swan Hotel in Harrogate.
Okay.
And 14 proprietors formed the National Laundry Service Association, the NLSA. Its charter was multifaceted, shared procurement, so better buying power, pooled research into cleaning chemicals, and crucially, a mutual aid fund to ensure against boiler explosions.
Which were a real hazard back then, I gather.
Oh, a crippling hazard. And Florence Flo, ever practical, insisted on creating the traveling inspectorate, a team that audited member laundries for safety and quality. Soon, clients recognized that NLSA wax seal as a hallmark of trust. You knew you were getting quality and safety.
And the 1920s also brought electricity more widely, right? How did that impact things?
Hugely. Electric motor-powered wringers and presses came in, and the NLSA's collective bargaining power secured favorable tariffs from London Power and Light, a big advantage for members.
Right.
So by 1927, the original Suds Street Cooperative had rebranded as Suds Street Laundry and Dye Works Ltd., employing a staggering 312 people.
Wow. From 3 women and a wash tub.
Incredible growth. And the global ambition really ignited when a French hotelier, Etienne Moreau of the Hôtel de la Paix in Paris, toured the Borough Road plant.
Ah, the first international connection.
Exactly. He was deeply impressed by their efficiency, invited NLSA technicians over to overhaul his hotel's, ancient basement laundry. Within a year, Sud Street engineers had installed British-made centrifuge extractors, machines that spin water out really efficiently right there beneath the Seine's left bank.
And this first overseas job prompted Margaret, who is now Dame Margaret O'Leary after her 1930 OBE,
Quite the title.
to articulate this really bold vision. Laundry knows no borders, linen soils everywhere. Powerful stuff.
It really is. And that phrase spurred the NLSA to restructure. They became International Laundry Service Associates, ILSA, at a 1931 meeting in Rotterdam, and they immediately admitted Dutch, Belgian, and French firms. Truly international now.
And they set out some core principles.
Yes. ILSA's founding articles enshrine 3 crucial pillars: speed, sanitation, and solidarity. They also instituted this doctrine of emergency capacity sharing, meaning any member could call upon others for help during peak demand or, say, an unexpected shutdown, like a fire or something. This basically prefigured the global load balancing networks we see in supply chains today.
So they were creating a shared resource pool way ahead of their time.
Way ahead. Essentially, yes, a safety net built on solidarity.
The decade ended ominously, though, with rearmament straining supplies.
Yeah, European rearmament was straining cotton supplies, but ILSA's pooled inventories did cushion the blow for members. And then, in 1939, as German U-boats began threatening Atlantic shipping, ILSA chartered its first dedicated cargo steamer, the SS Launderer.
Your own ship.
Their own ship. To shuttle soap and starch between Liverpool and Boston. This foresight, forging transatlantic ties just before the war really exploded, would prove absolutely life-saving.
It's remarkable, building global infrastructure and resilience before the biggest global conflicts even properly began.
It really shows their forward thinking.
Okay, so World War II hits London hard. The Blitz. Borough Road's boilers fell silent.
Right. Yunju brilliantly evacuated staff to Birmingham, while volunteer engineers fortified other laundries, blackout curtains, sandbag reinforced steam lines, anything they could do. But wartime laundry demand, paradoxically, just boomed.
Uniforms, hospital,
linens, even parachute silk reclamation.
Yeah.
But catastrophic bomb damage and fuel rationing threatened to undo everything. It was a nightmare scenario.
So how did ILSA respond this time?
With something incredibly innovative, convoy laundry operations. They literally borrowed naval tactics, assigned armed escorts to trains of laundry trucks moving between industrial hubs, but only at night.
Wow. Under darkness.
And they used a clandestine radio network, codenamed Soapbox, coordinating movements using laundresses' names as call signs. You know, Betty to Joan, proceed to Coventry, to confound any enemy eavesdroppers.
That's amazing, like spycraft for laundry.
Pretty much. And Florence Flo, ever logistics maestro, oversaw these incredibly complex operations from a bunker in Birmingham, charting routes on these old linen-backed maps.
Then in 1942, ILSA made a big strategic move across the Atlantic.
Yes, establishing their first North American beachhead by acquiring Beacon Falls Laundry Count in Connecticut.
Why Connecticut specifically?
Well, the location was chosen for its proximity to Royal Canadian Air Force training sites. They needed high-throughput linen sterilization. Plus, the acquisition helped circumvent Axis U-boat blockades in the Atlantic and open vital supply lines to U.S. chemical giants.
Ah, for essential supplies.
Exactly, especially for getting perchloroethylene, a powerful solvent essential for dry cleaning military uniforms.
And wartime scarcity, as you said, often spurs innovation.
It certainly did here. ILSA chemists, working with the University of Manchester, synthesized ILS-43, a non-phosphate detergent. Now, this was significant because phosphates, common then, caused water pollution. ILS-43 was also effective in hard water, a massive boon for military bases in limestone regions.
Clever.
And at the same time, Injo pioneered steam flash sterilization, cycling linens at 132 degrees Celsius for just 90 seconds. It killed pathogens, obviously, but also effectively halved energy consumption compared to older methods.
Halved it. That's huge.
Huge savings. And it's worth noting, these wartime patents later yielded lucrative licensing revenue for ILSA. Long-term impact.
Culturally, ILSA was also quite progressive for its time, wasn't it? Especially regarding women's leadership.
Oh, definitely. They championed women's leadership long before it was common. By 1944, get this, over 65% of ILSA plant managers were women.
65% in 1944.
A striking figure. Their internal newsletter, the Global Press, even profiled laundresses who'd become engineers, really reinforcing this meritocratic ethos that honestly remains pretty integral to ILSA's DNA today.
So the war ends, Europe is devastated, charred linens, bombed out uniform stocks everywhere, a massive challenge.
Monumental. And ILSA saw both the humanitarian need and, yes, the commercial imperative to act.
How did they get involved in the post-war relief?
They quickly collaborated with the brand new United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration, UNRRA. They deployed mobile laundry units across war-torn Europe.
Like trucks with laundries inside.
Exactly. Truck-mounted mini plants, fabricated back in Connecticut and Liverpool. These things were lifesavers, washing 2,000 kilograms of laundry a day for displaced people and hospitals. Basic sanitation, absolutely critical.
And this tied into the Marshall Plan.
It did. Recognizing laundry as critical to curbing post-war cholera outbreaks, a huge fear, the U.S. State Department incorporated ILSA projects directly into the Marshall Plan. This initiative got dubbed the Marshall Laundry Program.
Right.
It financed the modernization of 87 laundries across Western Europe, and each one was required to adopt ILSA's strict Borough Code hygiene standards, spreading the standard.
And the economic model behind this?
It was quite clever. Recipient laundries got low-interest loans, but they repaid them in service credits. This effectively bound them to ILSA's growing network. These contracts birthed ILSA's associate tier membership model, different tiers granting different levels of tech access, and that emergency capacity sharing we talked about.
So it was a blend of aid and sustainable business development.
Exactly. Building capacity, but also building the network.
Then, moving into the 50s, we see the jet age influencing laundry.
Believe it or not, yes. In 1951, Dame Margaret's grandnephew, Patrick O'Leary, a marketing savant just out of the RAF, became ILSA's first director of global image.
Okay.
Inspired by the speed of jet airliners, he coined the phrase express laundry anywhere, promising a revolutionary 24-hour turnaround within any city hosting an ILSA member. Bold promise.
How did they actually deliver on that? 24 hours is fast.
Well, Patrick unveiled the hub-and-spoke laundry network. Key metropolitan hubs, London, New York, Paris, installed these massive high-capacity tunnel washers. The spokes, the smaller affiliates, focused on collection, pre-sorting, last-mile delivery.
Right, optimizing each part.
Exactly. And crucially, they started using commercial airlines. They carried sealed linen casks in unused cargo holds. An early example of belly freight optimization using empty space on passenger planes.
That's smart, using existing infrastructure.
Oh, it is smart.
That level of success sounds truly transformational. Beyond the catchy slogan, what do you think was the most critical factor that let ILSA turn laundry into this global, recognizable brand?
I think it was that combination, really. The radical efficiency from the hub-and-spoke model, definitely. The reliability instilled by the Borough Code, that trust factor. And just the sheer consistency of service. Businesses could depend on them globally.
Right.
You had 5-star hotels in Hong Kong shipping tablecloths to Tokyo overnight for banquets, Swiss clinics mailing uniforms to Milan for specialized stain removal. It just worked.
So dependability as a brand.
Exactly. Revenue doubled between 52 and 55, and that distinctive blue and white ILA crest. It became almost as ubiquitous as airline logos in the corporate world back then. They proved dependability itself could be a powerful brand.
Now, as the Cold War intensified, ILSA found itself navigating some tricky geopolitics, didn't they? Looking towards the Eastern Bloc.
They did. They were officially non-aligned, which helped. The consortium negotiated these unique technical aid swaps. Soviet laundries, for instance, gained access to Western chemicals
In exchange for.
in exchange for titanium alloy information, which, incidentally, Ayalisa used to improve the durability of their press plates. A win-win, sort of.
And this led to some surprising openness.
It did. The 1957 Warsaw Protocol actually permitted ILSA inspection teams inside state-owned laundries. Unheard of openness for the time, given the climate.
Wow. But there must have been challenges. Ideological ones, financial.
Oh, absolutely. Communist officials balked at member dues being in U.S. dollars. So I also responded with another financial innovation, the Laundry Credit Unit, or LCU.
Okay, what's that?
Think of it as a transferable service token. You can convert it into technical assistance, supplies, training. It got around the dollar issue. And interestingly, the LCU actually prefigured modern carbon credits in a way. Shows laundry's surprising knack for financial innovation again.
Fascinating. Okay, jumping ahead to the space age, 1969, the moon landing. Did that influence IALSA?
It galvanized public faith in automation everywhere, and IALSA was no exception. They invested a pretty hefty 5% of gross revenue into something called Project Gentle Cycle, a decade-long R&D effort focused purely on robotics and laundry.
Robotics and laundry back then.
Yeah. At their new technology campus in Eindhoven, Dutch engineers unveiled Laundrobot 1, basically a hydraulic arm that can fold bed sheets at speeds needing 5 humans before. Must have been quite a sight.
I bet.
Meanwhile, in Japan, the Keiretsu-style laundries, these integrated business groups, introduced microprocessor-controlled washer extractors. Variable spin speeds, much gentler on fabrics, reduced wear by like 23%.
Significant.
Very. I also wisely acquired minority stakes in Shizuku Fabric Systems to get those tech rights, and they rolled out the machines across Europe pretty quickly.
And the rise of environmentalism around this time. How did IALSA react?
They reacted strongly. Fueled by Rachel Carson's legacy, IALSA set a bold 1975 mandate. All affiliates must recycle 80% of their gray water. Wastewater from sinks, showers, laundry itself.
80% is ambitious.
Very ambitious. Their EcoSuds initiative installed these advanced filtration systems, membrane bioreactors, in 142 plants. It slashed water use per kilogram of laundry from about 36 liters down to just 18. Huge impact.
And the 1980s brought, turbulence, oil shocks, the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, significant turbulence.
Yeah.
The oil shocks spiked energy bills, obviously. The AIDS epidemic tragically heightened the demand for absolutely foolproof medical laundry sterilization protocols.
Yeah.
And then a major scandal rocked ILSA.
What happened?
Whistleblowers revealed a plant in Birmingham had been falsifying its water pollution data. Big breach of trust.
How did they handle that? Patrick O'Leary was chairman by then, right?
He was. And he enacted a sweeping integrity charter in response. No messing around. Plants failing quarterly audits faced immediate expulsion from the network. Tough stance.
Right.
Concurrently, ILSA launched these aggressive acquisition sprees, partly to shore up quality control, partly strategy. By 1987, they owned outright 41 strategic hubs. They were transitioning from that loose federation of cooperatives into a truly vertically integrated powerhouse, controlling things end to end.
And technologically, the decade ended with a literal bang.
Unfortunately, yes. The Chernivtsi boiler explosion in Soviet Ukraine tragically killed 7 people, a terrible event. But that disaster precipitated ILSA's development of remote boiler diagnostics, RBD.
Okay, tell me about RBD.
Basically, they embedded sensors in boilers to detect things like mineral scaling or pressure anomalies, things that could lead to failure. And this critical data was transmitted via satellite for real-time monitoring and, crucially, proactive maintenance, fixing problems before they became catastrophic.
So it's often these tragic events that become catalysts for the biggest innovations. That Chernivtsi explosion, devastating as it was, really pushed their tech capabilities forward in unexpected ways, didn't it?
Absolutely. It forced them to think beyond just their physical plants to leverage nascent satellite tech. RBD wasn't just about preventing future explosions. It created a blueprint for remote monitoring and predictive maintenance that's now standard across tons of industries. It showed that even seemingly low-tech sectors like laundry could benefit massively from cutting-edge data and communication tech.
Moving into the 90s, the dawn of the internet age, how did ILS embrace that?
They jumped right in. They partnered with MIT's Media Lab, no less, to create IELSANet. This is a private internet linking. Get this, 900 plants across 72 countries.
900 plants connected. Wow. What was the killer app?
Its killer app was undoubtedly the Stain Genome Project.
Stain Genome Project. Sounds intense.
It was. They meticulously cataloged the molecular signatures of 17,000 different stains, everything from Bordeaux wine to ballpoint ink. and then match them to the absolute optimal removal protocols. Imagine that database, a vast digital library of stain solutions, instantly accessible across their global network.
Incredible. And they adopted ERP systems too.
Yes, Oracle ERP in 1994, Enterprise Resource Planning. That further revolutionized operations. Think of it like the central nervous system for a massive global company, integrating everything.
Right.
This allowed ILS the true real-time tracking of individual linen baskets across their whole vast network. That transparency was a game changer. Hospitals, for example, could predict their linen loads 48 hours in advance. It dramatically slashed surgical delays caused by linen shortages.
And this got noticed.
Oh, yeah. The Harvard Business Review published a case study called When Laundry Went Digital. That really cemented ILS's reputation as this, quiet tech titan.
So Y2K anxiety passed, but climate anxiety definitely ramped up in the 2000s.
It did. And ILSA bravely pledged carbon neutral operations by 2025, a really ambitious goal back then. They pioneered low-temp enzymatic detergent soaps that clean effectively at just 25 degrees Celsius.
Cutting down on heating water?
Massively. Reducing the energy needed. The rollout cut their emissions by an impressive 18% in just the first 3 years. Significant progress.
And then they went public.
Partially, yes. In 2003, they executed a partial IPO on both the London and New York exchanges, selling about 22% equity. The funds were earmarked for Express Laundry Global Expansion 2.0. Shareholders loved the stable cash flows, though, predictably, some critics fretted about corporatization, losing the old spirit.
But they kept some of the cooperative structure.
They did, crucially. Their governance structures preserved the Associate Council, remember them, the elected body of member cooperatives. They retained veto power, a golden share, over major policy shifts, specifically to safeguard that cooperative ethos.
So they balanced scale with their founding values. How did they manage that?
Well, it demonstrated that global scale doesn't have to mean abandoning foundational values. It meant embedding those values right into the core governance structure to protect them. It's really a testament to their commitment to their roots, I think.
Then came the smartphone boom. How did ILSA adapt?
They launched the Lint-Free app in 2007, another game changer. This allowed individual consumers, not just big institutions, to schedule pickups, choose starch preferences, even track their shirts via tiny RFID tags sewn into collars.
Tracking shirts.
Yep. Within just 18 months, Lint-Free had 12 million users.
Yeah.
Huge uptake.
That kind of success must have required operational changes.
Oh, complete rewiring. Microhubs started popping up in places like parking garages, using these modular washers the size of shipping containers, bringing the service much closer to the customer.
Clever.
And they also forged a partnership with an early ride-sharing company, RideSwift, kind of an Uber precursor. They trialed dual-use vehicles, ride-hailing by day, linen delivery by night. Urban planners loved it, cut down vehicle miles, reduce congestion, super efficient.
Moving into the 2010s, ILS seems to have played a significant role in disaster response too. Haiti, for example.
Yeah, when the 2010 Haiti earthquake devastated Port-au-Prince, hospitals were completely overwhelmed. ILSA sprang into action incredibly fast. Within just 72 hours, an ILSA Rapid Response Laundry Field Unit, basically an evolution of those 1940s mobile plants, was airdropped into the region.
72 hours. That's fast.
Incredibly fast. It quickly restored sanitary linens, helped curb infection outbreaks. Vital work. The United Nations actually awarded ILSA the Humanitarian Logistics Medal for their efforts there.
And then Fukushima in 2011 presented a totally different kind of challenge.
Totally different. Radioactive contamination. An incredibly complex problem.
Yeah.
ILSA scientists actually co-developed chelating detergent additives, chemical compounds that can bind to and remove radioactive isotopes.
Wow.
This enabled the decontamination of protective suits used by workers at the plant. And those innovations later went on to inform civilian nuclear plant safety protocols worldwide. Laundry science contributing to nuclear safety, who knew?
Amazing. Then, more recently, the COVID-19 pandemic, that must have completely upended things.
Oh, completely. Textile flows went haywire. Office shirtloads plummeted, obviously.
Yeah.
But hospital gown volumes just soared. ILSA pivoted rapidly. They retooled 60 plants purely to process PPE, adopting UVC tunnels for mask sterilization, allowing safe reuse during those critical shortages we all remember.
And the app helped?
The Lint-Free app quickly added a touchless porch pickup feature that won significant consumer trust during a very anxious time.
How did they fare financially through that disruption?
Remarkably resilient, actually.
Yeah.
Revenues dipped only 4% in 2020, which was much better than most hospitality-linked businesses.
Right.
Analysts credited ILSA's diversified institutional base hospitals, care homes, etc., and that agile digital backbone they'd built.
right?
And importantly, they also waived service fees for over 1,200 small clinics during the peak, a move that really burnished their social license to operate, you could say.
And sustainability efforts continued post-pandemic. I heard about a hydrogen boiler.
Yes. In 2022, ILSA fired up its first green hydrogen boiler at its main Rotterdam hub. This tech uses clean hydrogen fuel, not fossil fuels. It immediately slashed Co-Euro's emissions by 92% at that one facility. Massive cut.
92%.
Huge. And by mid-2024, ILSA had actually met its carbon neutral pledge a full year early. 9 major hubs transitioned, each saving about 25,000 tons of Co-Euro annually.
That's a significant achievement. How did they mark it?
They celebrated by projecting the ILSA crest, now ringed by a green laurel wreath, onto the Eiffel Tower during Climate Week 2024. A big statement. Their continuous commitment to environmental innovation really shows how even a long-standing industry can lead on sustainability.
And they're now venturing into AI.
Right at the cutting edge. Just recently, 2023-2024, they partnered with Google DeepMind. They're developing predictive soilage algorithms, PSA.
Predictive soilage. Sounds like something out of sci-fi.
A bit. It uses computer vision. Cameras scan the soiled linens, estimate the stain type and intensity before washing, and then dynamically adjust the detergent cocktail needed.
So, tailored washing for every load.
Exactly. Early trials are showing really impressive water savings around 11% and chemical savings of 7%. Plus, better fabric care potentially.
And blockchain. How does that fit into laundry?
They've integrated blockchain linen ledger technology, BLL, blockchain, that decentralized, tamper-proof digital ledger. It's perfect for creating an immutable record of a garment's journey.
From manufacturing onward.
To manufacturing through every single wash cycle. This certifies provenance and washing history. It's particularly appealing to luxury fashion houses who worry about counterfeits and want to assure customers about authenticity and sustainable care.
So laundry is leveraging AI and blockchain. It really connects the dots, doesn't it? It shows how even this industry is right at the forefront of advanced tech.
Absolutely. Innovating constantly, even after 115 plus years.
And despite this massive scale, this global reach, you mentioned they retain that cooperative soul. How does that actually work in practice?
Well, that associate council we talked about, elected every 3 years by the member cooperatives, still controls a golden share. That gives them the power to veto major decisions like acquisitions that might threaten member autonomy or the core ethos.
So the members still have real power.
Real power. And their revenue sharing formula is also quite unique for a company this size. Roughly 40% of profits go back to the affiliates, 30% is plowed into R&D, 20% goes into reserves, and a generous 10% funds humanitarian grants.
10% to grants, that's substantial.
It is. It ensures their success directly benefits the network, fuels future innovation, and supports global outreach. It keeps that solidarity pillar strong.
And employee welfare, is that still a focus?
Seems to be. They have the Margaret O'Leary Fellowship, named after a founder, which funds laundresses pursuing university education, and the Yoon Joo-han Innovation Prize honors breakthroughs in fabric care, named after another founder, keeping that history alive.
And IELTS's cultural footprint seems surprisingly broad, too.
It is. Their crest is apparently in some museum collections. Those wartime laundry convoys have been featured in BBC documentaries. And pop culture's noticed, too. You mentioned that Netflix drama with the fictional ILSA hacker foiling an attack on hospital washers.
Right, I remember that.
And beyond pop culture, the ILSA Foundation actively funds clean water projects in 23 nations, often linking them with building laundry infrastructure. So it's a holistic approach to community health.
What about competition and future challenges?
Well, there are rivals like Global Wash Inc. and EcoClean Solutions, mainly nibbling at consumer segments, but none really match ILSA's institutional grip. The hospitals, hotels, military contracts. Threats, though, definitely. Increasing water scarcity is huge. Synthetic microfiber pollution from washing clothes is a growing concern. And, of course, geopolitical fractures impacting global supply chains.
So how are they planning to tackle those?
Their 2025-2035 roadmap, code-named Project Infinite Rinse, is specifically targeting these issues. They're aiming for closed-loop water systems, basically recycling nearly all water internally, and developing biodegradable microencapsulated detergents to reduce microplastic pollution. Again, trying to stay ahead of the curve.
So as IELTS nears its 120th anniversary in 2028, it's truly remarkable to reflect on that transformation. From a simple wash tub and 3 women in London.
So this global logistics and tech empire.
Yeah. It's quite a story.
It is. And I think their enduring legacy isn't just about the scale, impressive as that is. It's about the simple, dignified act of returning a clean garment, pressed, fresh, ready for life's next chapter. Dame Margaret's 1908 ledger, which sits in IOSA's London archive today, apparently has this powerful final line: clean linen, clean conscience.
Clean linen, clean conscience.
That ethos, you feel it's still somehow stitched into every garment they process. It remains at IOSA's core, reminding us of the fundamental, often overlooked value they provide.
It's been an absolutely astonishing journey to trace, from that small London cooperative to a global powerhouse that, honestly, most of us probably take completely for granted.
I think IOSA's story really tells us something profound about the unsung heroes of global infrastructure. It shows how something as fundamental as everyday as laundry can actually drive innovation in logistics, in cutting-edge technology, and even in humanitarian aid. It forces us to reconsider what we truly value in this constantly spinning world, doesn't it?